Let's talk about something we all experience, pain. But what if I told you that a lot of what we think we know about it is just wrong? What if the pain you feel is less of a fact and more of a really convincing opinion from your brain?
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It gets right to the heart of what we're going to unpack. The pain you're feeling might not be a direct signal of damage to your body. Sometimes it's just a message coming from a brain that's gotten a little confused, a little overprotective.
All right, so let's dive right into that idea. Pain's confusing message. I mean, how can something that feels so incredibly real actually be misleading?
You know, most of us grow up with a really simple formula in our heads. Pain equals damage. If it hurts, something must be physically wrong. And that belief, well, it creates a lot of fear, especially when pain sticks around for a while. But here's the twist. Your brain can actually learn to be in pain, and it can keep creating that feeling long after any real injury has healed.
But hang on. Before we get into how the brain gets it wrong, we have to give it some credit for when it gets things absolutely right. Because first and foremost, pain is the body's protective alarm. And honestly, this alarm system is nothing short of brilliant. It's a survival tool. You touch a hot stove, you get an immediate, sharp pain that screams, "Pull your hand back now." You twist your ankle, and the pain tells you, "Hey, take it easy. Let's protect this joint so it can heal." In those moments, pain is 100% your best friend.
Okay, so this is the crucial part to understand. A signal that comes from your ankle isn't pain. Not yet. It's just information. That information zips up to your brain, and only after your brain looks at it, interprets it as a threat, does it make the decision to create the feeling we call pain. So pain is an output of the brain, not an input from the body.
And this is where it gets really fascinating. Because that decision-making process, it's not perfect. So let's look at what happens when the brain is wrong.
So check out this famous case from a medical journal. It just perfectly shows the power of what we believe. You've got a construction worker, he jumps down off of something and lands on a huge nail. It goes straight through his heavy work boot.
And he is in absolute agony, just screaming in pain. I mean, the visual alone is terrifying, right? By all accounts, this is a catastrophic injury. So what do you think the doctors found when they finally, carefully got his boot off? And here's the kicker, there was no injury at all. The nail had passed perfectly between his toes. It didn't even break the skin. His brain created a 10 out of 10 off-the-charts level of pain based entirely on the expectation of damage, not on any actual physical harm.
So you're probably wondering, how in the world is that even possible? How can your brain cook up such a real feeling from a completely false alarm? Well, it all comes down to a process we're going to explore right now, how the brain learns pain.
The science behind all this is a really cool concept called neuroplasticity. It's just the brain's incredible ability to rewire itself based on what it does and experiences. There's a simple saying for it, neurons that fire together, wire together. The more you use a certain brain pathway, the stronger and more efficient it gets.
Now this is awesome when you're learning something new, like playing the piano. The more you practice, the more you carve out these super fast neural highways. But here's the thing. Your brain can do the exact same thing with pain. If a pain pathway gets activated over and over, the brain just gets better and faster at creating pain. It literally learns how to be in pain.
And this is where it gets wild. Scientists have actually seen this happen. They've tracked people with back injuries over time, and they found that as the pain became chronic, the activity in the brain literally moved. It shifted away from the areas that process immediate pain and moved into the parts of the brain that deal with memory, emotion, and learning. The pain had become a learned habit, wired right into the system.
So if the brain can learn pain, here's the really hopeful part. It can also unlearn it. And the key to that whole process is making a pretty big shift in how you think about it. You move from fighting pain to observing without fear. You see, fear is basically the fuel that keeps this whole learned pain thing going. You feel a sensation that causes fear, and the fear sends a big red danger signal back to your brain. So what does the brain do? It turns up the pain to protect you, and boom, you're stuck in a vicious feedback loop.
And this is such a critical piece of the puzzle. Research has shown that the biggest predictor of whether someone develops chronic pain isn't how bad their original injury was. Nope, it's the level of fear they have about their pain. So if you want to break the cycle, you have to break the fear.
Okay, this brings us to the most powerful, most actionable part of this whole conversation. You are not stuck. You have the ability to change this. because your brain can change.
One of the most effective techniques to do this is called somatic tracking. Now, instead of immediately reacting to a sensation with fear and trying to make it disappear, you learn to just observe it. You observe it with a kind of neutral curiosity, almost like a scientist studying something new and interesting.
And it's actually a pretty simple practice. First, you just notice the sensation. Then, you try to describe its qualities to yourself. Is it tingly? Is it warm? Is it sharp? Is it dull? What's it actually like? Third, and this is key, you consciously tell your brain, hey, I'm safe, this sensation isn't dangerous. And finally, you just repeat this process with calm attention. You're teaching your brain a totally new way to respond.
Think of it like this, right? If a little kid is terrified during a thunderstorm, yelling at them to stop being scared is only going to make things worse. What that kid really needs is calm, gentle reassurance. Well, the same thing is true for your brain. You are gently teaching your overprotective alarm system that it's okay, the storm will pass, and you are fundamentally safe.
And all of this leads to a really profound shift in how we see things. Pain isn't some enemy that you have to fight and destroy. It's just a signal. It's a messenger. And our job is to get better at interpreting that message. Is this a real warning, or is it maybe just a false alarm?
So we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. What if the real path to feeling better doesn't start with fighting the pain or gritting your teeth and ignoring it, but by simply pausing, listening with curiosity, and calmly trying to understand the message your brain is trying to send you?